Hello, philosophers. Well, when I left last time at the end of the video, I said that in the next one I would be talking about these existential crises that were kind of depressing me. That is, the continuing existence of American democracy and of humanity. But I also talked about the good and my four-word philosophy: be good, be happy. I more or less concluded that our quest for happiness should be a quest for the good. Well, what is the good? What is good? I said that I believe that maybe if we strived for to understand the good, we would find happiness. I said that we would start with Plato. Now, to tell you the truth, I don't know much about Plato. I haven't studied him yet. I will take a class that covers Plato in the fall. But I thought before I started talking about Plato in the video, I ought to learn a little bit about him, which I did. And it turns out that he has a good deal to say about our quest to find what the good is. I thought it would be helpful to share this with you before I continued with my whining about what's the right word, mess, the mess that we have made of the world. Now, Plato is of the utmost importance to philosophy. He was a student of Socrates, and all that we know of Socrates is through the writings of Plato. He was also the teacher of Aristotle. Now, this is an incredible triumvirate of philosophy: Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Platonic philosophy dominated Western thought until around 1100. Then Aristotle kicked in, and Aristotelian thinking dominated until the mid 1600s, when the era of modern philosophy began. So Plato provides us with the concept of the good. Now, what is that? What is the good? Well, before we explain that or understand that, we have to have some understanding of Plato's theory of forms. Now, go to YouTube, search Plato Forms School of Life. There's an excellent 4-minute video that explains Plato's theories of forms without getting too deep. But basically, it's this: there is a separate reality from the one that we experience, a separate state of reality that's immaterial, not physical. In this non-material world, there exist forms of the ideal, the perfect. These forms are essentially blueprints of the ideal. Well, the ideal of what? Everything. Everything we perceive and experience in the world. An ideal horse, an ideal marriage, an ideal lover, an ideal education, an ideal government. Everything has a form of its ideal. But what we experience, everything that we perceive and experience, is an imperfection. It's not perfect. Now, this is where Plato gets kind of cool. What is the form of all forms? What is the ideal of idealness? That's the question. And his answer is the good. The good is the source of all knowledge and truth. It is the source of the existence of all forms. Plato makes the good into the one, which later he calls God. By virtue of the one, there is order, rational order, in the universe. And here's this. Now, Plato's main concern is the improvement of the soul. The form of the good is to be imitated by us. We are to be like the good, part of the moral order. It sounds a bit like the Christian theology that will come in the future. Now, your soul, your consciousness, your awareness, your active, animating life force, says Plato, should move you to act in accordance with the good. To develop your soul to become righteous, just, through wisdom. This struggle for the human soul is the quest for the good. Let me repeat that. This struggle for the soul is the quest for the good. Now, that's our journey. That's our quest. The ideal of the soul, the form of the soul, is to be like God. Again, the imitation of God, Christian theology. So how do we do that? How do we develop the soul towards the ideal? Well, we do that by cultivating virtues. Virtues like courage, wisdom, temperance. The Greek word for virtue that they use is arete, which means excellence. It's a quality. Virtue is excellence of the soul. Now, we use the word good a lot. A good knife. That's a good doctor. He's a good father. That was a good education. He's not a good president. We judge based on excellence. What is the quality of a good knife? What is excellence in a knife? And what is the quality of a good human being? What is excellence in a human being? What is this form of excellence? Remember my discussion of Kant's goodwill? The goodwill is the will to do the right thing. And we have a duty to do the right thing. So let me ask you, is excellence as a human being doing the right thing? Is it doing the right thing to make ourselves better? To make everything better? Is that our duty? What do we have a duty to make better? Well, I'd say everything. How about our government? How about our approach to the climate crisis? How about all of these other things that are going on in the world that have gotten me depressed? Don't we have a duty, if we're going to improve our soul, to act in accordance with the good, with the good will, to work to make it better? Maybe our first step to finding the good is to consider the ideal of something. What is the form of whatever we're talking about? And then to recognize its imperfection. And then work in accordance with our duty to do the right thing to make it better. That's what I learned from Plato this week. And to tell you what, I had a good time exercising my love of learning in learning about Plato. Made me happy. I think that this discussion here is an example of how philosophy can help. That's a constant theme in these videos, that philosophy can help us lead a better life and have a better society. How can we should we approach this problem of racism? What is the ideal of race relations? Where do we fall short? And how can we make it better? How can we approach the climate crisis? What is the ideal of the world? How should the ideal of protecting the world? Where do we fall short? And how can we make it better? How can we approach how we live our lives? Where do we fall short? How can we make it better? How can we be better? Here's the lesson. Reach for the ideal in all that you do. That is excellence in a human being. That's virtue. That's the good. Be good. Be happy. Make it better. Here endeth the lesson.